The sun beat down, relentless and completely indifferent to the man walking below. Deep in the heart of the Grand Canyon, Robert was just another soul navigating the ancient stone. He was a veteran of these trails, someone who knew every bend in the path and every shift in the wind. He had his supplies, his water, and a working cell phone right in his pocket. Then, in the blink of an eye, the canyon just seemed to swallow him whole. We are talking about a silence so heavy it feels like a physical weight on your chest. No scream was heard. No struggle was seen, and not a single footprint was left behind in the dust. When the search teams finally arrived, they found his gear abandoned, but Robert himself was gone. The park rangers will tell you he simply wandered off. But the people who know the trail know better. The facts tell a much darker story than the official press releases would ever suggest. Good evening, everyone. I am David Paulides. And tonight we are diving into a topic that most officials would rather ignore. We are looking at the terrifying reality of people who vanish. Many of you ask about the Highway of Tears in British Columbia and how it differs from Missing 411. Tonight, I am going to show you exactly how to distinguish between a crime and a mystery. Now, the Highway of Tears is a documented tragedy involving a 725-kilometer stretch of Highway 16. It is a place where young women, mostly indigenous, have been targeted for decades. In those specific cases, we see a clear and consistent pattern of criminal intent and human violence. The police are looking for serial killers because they are dealing with a known human element. There are crime scenes, there are witnesses, and there is usually a trail of physical evidence left behind. This is a horrific human crisis, but it follows the logic of our known world. But when we move into the world of Missing 411, the rules of reality seem to completely break down. We are not looking for a man in a van or a predator in the shadows. We are talking about experienced hikers and small children vanishing from national parks under conditions that defy logic. These are cases where the trail just ends abruptly in the dirt. In these disappearances, the search dogs arrive and they can't find a single scent to follow. It is as if the person was lifted straight off the face of the earth without touching the ground. Let us look at the case of Dennis Martin back in 1969 at the Great Smoky Mountains. A 6-year-old boy is playing hide and seek with his family on a beautiful afternoon. He runs behind a bush to play a trick on his father. And in less than 5 minutes, he is gone. A massive search involving the military and the FBI found absolutely nothing. Not a scrap of his bright red clothing was ever found. Despite thousands of people combing the woods, think about the sheer impossibility of a child vanishing that quickly without a trace. The K-9 units arrived on the scene and they just circled around in total confusion. This is a major profile point in the Missing 411 phenomenon that authorities never want to explain. If a child falls or gets lost, they leave signs. They leave footprints. They leave broken branches. Dennis Martin left nothing but a void that remains empty to this very day. Then we have Marilyn D. Werters, all the way over in Australia at Kosciuszko National Park. She was a fit, highly experienced hiker who knew the rugged terrain like her own backyard. She set off for a short trip, leaving her car at the trailhead, and she never returned to it. Once again, The search teams were baffled because there was no sign of an accident. A very specific thing happened right after Marilyn went missing, which we see time and time again. A sudden, unseasonal weather event hit the area with terrifying speed. It brought in a thick, unnatural fog and a freezing cold snap that shouldn't have been there. These localized storms seem to arrive almost on cue to hinder the search operations. It is a pattern that suggests the environment itself might be working against the recovery of the victim. The weather acts as a shroud, covering whatever actually happened in those woods. I have documented hundreds of cases where bodies are eventually found in areas that were already searched. Not just searched once, but combed over by experts dozens of times. Sometimes these victims are found miles away in locations that would be physically impossible to reach. We are talking about distances that a professional athlete would struggle to cover. Imagine an elderly man with advanced dementia climbing a steep mountain peak in total darkness. It defies everything we know about human biology and the progression of physical exhaustion. I am just stating the facts here, and the facts suggest that we are not dealing with bears. If a predator takes a person, they leave behind a very messy and obvious crime scene. In these missing 411 cases, there is no blood, no torn fabric, and no signs of any struggle. So we have to ask the question that no one else is brave enough to ask. What if there is an intelligence at work in these woods that we simply do not understand yet? What if the reason the dogs can't find a scent is because the person is gone? I am talking about the possibility of invisible entities that exist just outside our vision. These things might move through the fabric of our reality as if it were a thin veil. These entities seem to target people who are alone or those who have just stepped away. They operate with a level of precision that makes a human kidnapper look like an amateur. When the silence hits the woods and the birds stop singing, that is when the danger is high. It is a total erasure of a human being from our physical world in an instant. The Park Service stays silent because they don't have an answer that fits into a brochure. They would rather call it an unfortunate accident than admit they don't know what is out there. I've spent years tracking these coordinates, and the clusters always appear near granite and water. There is a geographic component to these disappearances that cannot be a coincidence. So when you head out into the wilderness, remember the distinctions we talked about tonight? The Highway of Tears is a human tragedy. But missing 411 is something far more ancient. Do not just assume that getting lost is the only thing that can happen to you. Be aware of your surroundings. Stay with your group. And never take the silence for granted. The facts don't lie. Even when the people in charge of the parks prefer to look away. I will continue to bring you these accounts because the families deserve to know the truth. These locations hold secrets that have been hidden for generations, and some are truly terrifying. I want you all to stay safe, stay vigilant, and always respect the power of the wild. Thank you for listening to the research and the data I have spent a lifetime collecting. Every name we discuss is a real person whose story deserves to be told with honesty. This is David Paulides, signing off for now. But I'll be back with more evidence soon. Watch the weather. Watch the woods. And most importantly, watch out for each other.